This is the Newsload.
Hi, I'm Carrie Anne Stevenson, and we are here today with Ariel Kagan.
Yeah, you said both names wrong. Nice, perfect. Good start.
How do you pronounce it?
It's Ariel Kagan, but sure.
Ariel Kagan.
I'll go by. Maybe my career will go better if I change it.
Yes, and then get a Netflix special.
Kagan. There we go.
You should always have the MCs.
So that's how they bring that.
And Netflix, here we come.
Yeah.
So do you own the club, or are you a co-owner?
Yeah, I co-own it. Me and my business partner Brandon Sobel. He's a comedian as well. That's how we became friends. It's just doing stand-up, and then we just weren't getting on stage as much as we'd liked. So we figured, and we were throwing shows all over Toronto, and so we were like, well, why don't we just build a spot where people can come see us
and live the dream, and have the best of worlds. Yeah, for sure.
We're trying to live the dream, but it's a grind. Like we have good nights and bad nights. Still a process. We're under 2 years, but yeah, it's pretty sick. It's pretty fun to do.
For sure. It's definitely better than roofing.
I mean, yeah, I don't think I'd be good at roofing. Particularly, I'm a Jew. We don't, we fiddle on roofs. We don't build them. We just fiddle on them. Okay, I'll stop.
Sorry, I don't mean to.
That's all right.
It's adorable. First question. Being a producer of a comedy club, please tell me the worst arrogant, egotistical comedian. You don't have to name names, but the experience of what they did. Do you know who I am? I'm, my mother's son, and it's like, no.
Yeah, I do. We don't get a lot of that. When I worked for a chain of comedy clubs before, and I got it more there. Like people, I'd answer the phone and they'd be like, it's so-and-so, can I? And I'd be like, who? And they'd be like, you don't know who I am? And it's like, no, like, but ego is what makes people good at comedy. So, you kind of need it, but we get a lot of the belligerent, like it's funny because I say it's funny, even if it's not funny. Like that one you see a lot more, like people, which I'm a comedian. I know what it's like to have an opinion, try to commit to it, and it not get the response you thought it would. But you have to be open to be like, okay, maybe I'm not saying it right, or my view holds something wrong in it that isn't funny, and I should reflect on that.
Oh yeah, you got to read the room, Yeah,
you got to read the room. And a lot of people just commit. Sometimes it is definitely the audience. There's definitely been sets where you're like, this isn't me. Like I'm trying my best. I'm having fun. And they're just like, don't want to hear it, which
my least favorite bomb was I did a show for a veteran show, and I talked about masturbating, and these are 70-year-old men, and they
masturbate,
but they don't want to hear about a woman masturbating.
I'm sure they would all watch it though. You know what I mean? It's like you can hear about it a little bit.
No, but this man in the front was just like, he was so excited to come to the show and very sweet. But once I started talking about touching myself, he was no longer my friend. I felt miserable because it's like, it's still live. Like I can still see that you.
Yeah. I can see you dislike me immensely.
Yeah, you just sat back in your chair and now your hands are in your lap because you were leaning on the table and excited and, involved in that and looking away and like, she's filthy. And it's like, well, like I didn't talk about, being trained like the police officer.
That's what you should have. That's pretty funny.
No, this was pre-train, knowledge. I'm shocked that the police officer, her husband is sticking with her,
Oh yeah.
He's simping through it. He probably paid
maybe maybe that's his kink. Nobody ever talked about that part. Maybe he's into cuckolding. You don't know.
Yeah. I just saw a meme the other day. Why is there always a chair facing the bed for the cuckolders?
That's exactly, yeah, 100%.
Anyway, a comedian that made you starstruck. Who was it? You can name this name.
Uh, Honestly, do you know Kyle Kinane from Chicago?
I don't. I pull.
Yeah, he's not massive, but he's got a big fan base. He has like three specials. I'm a big fan. He's very intellectual, and I'm usually pretty good around comedians just because I've been in comedy so long and worked at I've met like bigger names, but I like was a little like, oh, I'm a fan, you know what I mean? So it took me a while to start talking. But yeah, it was, and he put on a great show too, which it's always like, oh, okay.
Did you gush backstage and it's so nice to meet you?
Yeah, I met Trevor Noah pretty early. I was like 1 year in because I'm South African, right? And he's South African. And he was in town doing shows, and he bumped me and a bunch of comedians off a lineup to do time. And we met very briefly. He wouldn't know who I was, but it was pretty cool. Like, it was like, oh shit, this guy's doing it. So
a Jewish South African. That's fascinating.
Yeah, happens a lot.
Wow. So apartheid, am I pronouncing it correctly?
Sure, it's apartheid. Yeah, sure.
Apartheid. That was obviously an issue for Trevor Noah.
I am still white, so less of an issue for me.
But I do know that, the whole fighting and everything and the whites sort of being attacked, it was still a concern.
Yeah.
Yes. The safety of South Africa.
I mean, I was luckily white poor, you know what I mean? So they weren't coming for us. You know what I mean? Like, they were like, this guy's poor, fuck him. But I get it. I mean, the racial tension is very high from both sides, which it's unfortunate because it's a beautiful place with very beautiful people, like warm, good, just like I've lived in Canada 10 years and I still would rather hang out with a South African. Don't quote me on that. No,
you're quoting yourself.
I know. I just a warmth and a kindness that runs pretty deep culturally. That isn't as once Canadians warm up, they're great, but like that's like the biggest stark difference is just it's like you got to know someone to be included in Canada, where in South Africa it's just inclusion from the get-go. But then there is underlying tones of like there's a lot going on, right? Like a lot, like the country is not good, like highest unemployment rate in decades, rolling blackouts all the time, like crazy stuff's going on there. So yeah.
Yeah. And do you find the racial tension helps in your comedy experiences?
For the longest part, that's what I kind of leaned into, was just talking about, I still play on it. Obviously, there's a lot in that I'm a white African. There's a lot there. It's unique. It's a unique perspective. There are not many white African comedians. There's some, but I'm also growing as a comedian. So it's like I'm moving away from being so racially because it also toes a line that can cause perception of insensitivity when it's, in my mind, it's not, but that's also because I grew up in a different cultural upbringing, right? Like, it's what I perceive as quote unquote racist and what people here perceive as quote unquote racist we would disagree fundamentally.
Oh, yeah. The sensitivity levels and the lack of information of cultural differences and the Karens. You know, especially the Karens. They love to jump in and go. One of my favorite experiences in racial culture was this gentleman dressed up in a sombrero and, you know, a Mexican parka, and he walked around a college campus and he was like, "What do you think about me, you know, trying to, you know, celebrate Mexican heritage?" And they were like, "That's racist." And then he went to like a Mexican you know, sort of suburban area. And they were like, "We love that you're celebrating us. Bring it, you know,
Yeah.
chitty, chitty, bang, bang, you know?"
Yeah, that does happen. But then it's like, you know, if he put on dreadlocks, we would all disagree.
There's no argument that, you know, white guys in dreadlocks is offensive.
It's more just that they look stupid. I think that's, it's like, you look stupid.
Or cornrows. Cornrows are really...
I had cornrows in high school.
And did you get beat up?
This is, you want to talk about South Africa. So I grew up with a full-time maid because my mom was a single mom. So she hired this lady to look after us, basically. And she one day just gave me cornrows. You know what I mean? Like, she was like, "Let's do something fun." And she gave me cornrows. You know what I mean? I didn't know, you know, I was just hanging out, you know what I mean? And then it's like, then now if I showed up with cornrows, people would be like, "Oh, that's racist." Like, I was just hanging out, you know, like, I don't know, doesn't seem racist in my mind.
I know, and I struggle because going on vacation to, you know, Mexico or Jamaica or something, you know, like they pay, you know, for you to get cornrows and such, and it's like a tourist thing, but you know, you're still an asshole.
Yeah, when you get on the plane, take it out.
But I don't want to because I paid for it and I want them to see, like, look, it was only like 35 pesos. But anyway, I'm laughing at myself more. Cancel culture, being a club owner and such, Louis C.K., all of those issues. How do you feel about that?
I think Bill Burr put it best. You can probably find the clip where he says, "You can't get canceled if they don't let you cancel it." Like, right? Like, he's like, because Bill Burr gets away with saying whatever, right? It's like, he's like, you can't cancel me if I don't let you. Right? When you do something that's actually bad, then yeah, something's gonna, you know, happen, right? Louis is a bit of his own category in my mind, and we can talk about it if you'd like. But
yes,
like,
please.
Well, like, you know, like Harvey Weinstein, terrible. Bill Cosby, terrible. The guy from that '70s show, I don't even know his name, awful. Like, these are people who are committing heinous crimes that, like, it's like, yeah, like, they should go to jail, right?
Well, and the guy from the '70s show, it's so bad that he's ruining other people's careers as well. Like, what was it? Ashton Kutcher is in trouble.
They did it to themselves. I mean, they're like, "Here's our stamp of approval." I feel very little sympathy for them. They're rich people who will continue to live rich lives and be popular regardless of their beliefs and stuff, so that's fine. Louis is interesting. Like, I've read the things and I listened to Sarah Silverman talk about it, and that kind of changed my perspective on it a little bit. You know, she was very, if you've listened to it, she basically said that anytime it happened with her, he would be like, "Can I?" She would say yes, he would do it. If she said no, he wouldn't do it. So it's like, it's hard for me to then contextually, you know, every situation's different, everyone's story's different.
Absolutely. And
I'm not trying
to, I feel is the waitress felt that she, or the housekeeper or whoever she was, she felt that she was with a celebrity and didn't have a right to say no. So unfortunately, his power influenced and, you know, made the situation uncomfortable. But the reality is, Yuck Yuck still booked him with, you know, like, no concerned because he's still a talented comedian, and Bill Cosby still is touring, and people are still going in the show. Even after, O.J. Simpson is popular than ever. He's selling books and such. So, I think right on the argument of cancel culture, if you don't let them cancel you, if you don't quit. Another one is what's her name, the redhead, Kathy Griffin.
Yep.
Little Miss, head of the Trump, front page. She's still working. She looks exhausted, and I feel that she probably went through a huge emotional turmoil of having death threats. That's really unfortunate of the Trumpers, who are such, like Trumpers, that they will, threaten your life for being an anti-Trumper. Cancel culture, if they don't like you, I fear that, when it gets to death threats, it's when I'm scared.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't experienced that myself. I don't think I towed the line enough for death threats. I would say, for me, it's like, and Louis, the example is that it's like, I believe in redemption. Like, hopefully he comes back learning and growing and trying to be better. We're all on some level fundamentally flawed. His just happened to impact on other people in a bad way.
And that's another argument.
But that is why we love him. That is why. Well, we love Louis because he's flawed, and because he's like, that is, if you listen to it, every special, he's talked about being a pervert and not being a good person. And we loved it. And then when he did something that was, outside of the norm of morality, we were like, what? Like, and it's like, it's kind of hypocritical. But when people are in a position of power, role model, we do want to see a specific kind of morality and kind of ethics behind the person.
Eminem in Toy Soldiers even talked about how he doesn't want people to get killed over, the gripes. Like, he's picking up 50 cents beefs when, so now he's in a turf war that he didn't even, want, because he's producing 50 Cent now. And he doesn't want people to die over musical lyrics, right. Yes, dissing his daughter is, like an attempt of trying to, get his, feathers puffed, if you will. But, to have people die such, it's an issue. Anyway,
some live conversation.
You're an absolutely delightful, adorable South African gent, and I wish your comedy club all the best. Do you mind letting the audience know all your links and the name of your club?
Yeah, sure. You can check us out on social media. We just go by Backroom Comedy Club. My personal stuff's Ariel Kagan Comedy. We have a website, backroomcomedyclub.com. We run shows Wednesday to Sunday, 8 and 10 o'clock shows. Really New York's inspired kind of stand-up, so it's a drop-in, the best of the best available on the night. Come by, do sets, and we're just trying to breed a space that is comedy forward, the intent of the place is to make you laugh. That's its goal and derivative, and we hope everyone aligns with that. And we think we're doing a good job. As comedians ourselves, we're the best we've ever been. And so it's just fun. We are going to keep doing it, and we hope you come.
It's like being in a music school. If you're constantly jamming, you
get better.
Yeah.
We call it a comedy gym all the time.
Yeah. It's like Carnegie Hall. How do you get there? Practice. So. Yeah, wonderful. Well, you're absolutely adorable. And if you can do one more thing, if you don't mind, say it loud, say it proud. I love Newsload.
I love Newsload. Check it out.
Thank you.
This is the Newsload.